Here's a tech tip. If you're reusing mufflers, a lot of people do. This doesn't have much time on it at all, so I'm not worried about it being blown out or worn out or whatever. But before you start fitting your tubes in here, or once you have them where you want them and you go to start fitting tube, you're going to have a hard time because there's some, I guess, not flashing, but the metal actually curls up when you cut it. So you just have to go around a file and just clear out the extra metal or excess metal. Outside is not as important, obviously, because the tube fits ID and not OD. So I decided to recycle my Dynamax set. I just don't see myself running these mufflers ever. So I think I'm going to need these angles in the tube. So yeah, I'm just going to cut these mufflers out, put them up on the shelf for another project one day, and yeah. I never used to use my cutoff wheel for this kind of stuff, but now that my bandsaw is down, the blade is bad, which is my own fault, but yeah, this isn't too bad. Actually, a lot quicker this way. But I don't really care for using death wheels unless I have to, because they're called death wheels for a reason, and when they frag, it gets nasty. So the best advice I could give you is wear a face shield, stay out of the plane of it when you're cutting, and inspect your disc. Just give it a few seconds to look at the disc, make sure it's not chunked like this. See that little chunk right there? That could turn into something bad. So try not to use them if they're chunked up like that. Foot off today. It's weird. Okay. Anybody wants some 3.5-inch Dynamax mufflers? Hit me up. Local pickup only. Didn't even go through the muffler. Yeah, look, so I have extra mufflers obviously for someday, but the more important part is I have all these bends that I've already done. I know this is the passenger side. Here's the tip for the passenger side. I mean, there's no reason not to recycle this stuff. It's not bad. It's steel and it's not rusted out, so why wouldn't you? Stuff ain't getting any cheaper. So that's my rant. That's my rant for the day. You don't want to get yourself in a position to where, say, if I cut everything besides this last part right here, when I cut that and everything else, say it was cut up to here, when I cut that, this thing is going to bend like this way and it's going to pinch, and it could frag your blade or your cutoff wheel. So just be aware. It's like cutting wood. If you've ever cut a 2x4 or a 4x4, if you let it pinch on the blade as your last cut, it's not going to be good. So just be mindful of that. So see how now I'm going to finish my cut with the pressure off. So with this is flipped over, it creates a pinch point here. So I cut that in first, and now I have no pinch point, what it's going to do is going to fall down like that and open up instead of pinch. Open up instead of pinch. So what I'm going to do is, this is the passenger side, and I just fitted up. I had a little bit of protrusion from the tube here that was going just a little bit beyond the V-clamp, or the V-band V-band ring, and so I just flattened that out on the big 12-inch, and I think it might actually work. So this will save a lot of time, material. Just trying to clean up the end of it so I can get it to fit. It'll work. Stays nicely there, and that cut is pretty good, actually. Let me roll this. Actually, let me get a V-band clamp and make sure that that will seal, but I'm thinking this is gonna work. Look how close it is to that. I mean, the muffler's not perfect, but I got some wiggle room here to work with, and I'm not gonna butt weld this. This actually will go into the muffler, but this might be a good way to save some time here. So let me get this mocked up a little bit better, and I'll get right back. Got my V-band clamp. Yeah, I'm reusing it, as you may have guessed. This will be a good way to hold it in place for mock-up. Pull my muffler closer to it so I can get that fit on. See it better. Excuse my poor welding. That was my old machine. It wasn't as good as my new machine. Actually, this Miller machine is really good. It does make you a better welder, in my opinion. So we'll get this guy straightened up a little. Bracket's flat-ish. Bracket's still flat. Now, wonder. That's pretty close. Not too bad. That's cool. I'm down with it. I mean, using used exhaust tube and mufflers and stuff, it's just for off-road use, man. I don't care if you don't. So what I like to do when I'm reusing painted stuff, I have to go. She's out of paint. Oh wait, there she goes. This one I'm working with brand new square stuff. This will give me an idea as to how far I need to clean this off, and I'll square up all the joints and everything at that point. Even though it don't really. So, if you guys haven't realized by now, this is a demonstration on why not to go to a muffler shop. Welders are about $700. You go to any home improvement store and buy a little Lincoln 135 or a Miller, 170 or whatever. That's the entry-level welding machine. Let me tell you, I got a buddy that worked in the body shop industry for over 40 years, and all he ever had was a Lincoln 135 with CO2 as the shielding gas, which is I think it's half the price of your typical gold gas argon CO2 mix. And the reason he doesn't use argon is because they grind their welds. So my point is don't go to a muffler shop. They will rob you blind and most likely give you crush bent tubing, which is it's debatable as to whether, I guess it just depends on the horsepower level that you're making. But I personally, there's a time and place for a muffler shop. If you have a stock old car, it doesn't make any power, I get it, but everything's expensive, and you got to do your best to take things into your own hands and do it yourself. I've been doing this for 20 years, and every time I do it, I get better at it. In fact, exhaust is probably one of the favorite things to do in the shop here. So, and every time it gets better. So practice, weld. Go down to the welding store and ask them to dig through their strap bin. They used to allow you to just take whatever, but I'm sure it's pennies on the dollar compared to buying new materials. But the whole point here of this channel is to keep you from having to depend on shops or other people for your build. So that's it. That's my soapbox rant. Well, I guess that's the second one today. So sorry, but I really do this channel. It's not for the money. I don't ever see that ever happening. And if it did, that'd be great. But I don't do that for this, or I don't do this for that. I'm just here to help you guys learn. If you learn great from this channel, awesome. That is the only reason I do this. But because it does take more time to film when you're working as opposed to just working. So that's our whole thing here. We like to help people learn and pass on what we know, or what I know, or whatever. So anyway, back to work. That baby's clean. I'm just gonna make this stuff together, so it's not a big deal to have it antiseptically clean. But the cleaner it is, the better your welds will be. I forgot to mention I use V-band clamps because they don't require a gasket, and yeah, they might leak a little bit, but you can keep tightening them up until they don't leak, and it's far superior to the old 3-bolt gasket style of stuff, because those gaskets go away eventually. Need an extra hand. Still like them. I still like them. So, but they hold pretty well. Just this one's just loose because it doesn't have the bolt on it, or the nut on it. And surprisingly, even after many heat cycles, these things still work really well. And my O2 sensor is very close to it, so that says something to me. It keeps a leak-free exhaust, that you'll get a much more accurate reading, especially if it trims based off or if it gives a trim signal to the ECU. It's optimizing your fuel table. So there's that. say that's where I want it. That looks pretty good too. Level, and then my bracket is up there. I'm gonna have to drill another hole. That's okay. So now I'm gonna take a measurement from inside of here, so probably about to that, probably about my cleaning line there, and go over to here and then dump. Kind of want to have tube here. I just hope that's enough, or I may have to cut this guy, so we'll see. Let's grab a tape. Alright, so I cleaned up this one end with I got basically the end squared off on my 12-inch disc sander, and then I deburred the inside of the tube, of course. So now I'm going to find my length, and this is, it's about in where the clean starts. My clean line starts right there, so that's 9 inches, but we have to account for the tip as well, so that's 9.5. So this guy, no, put it there. I like to angle them out this way, just so it doesn't blow dirt and sauce all underneath my truck. But when you have exhaust pointing to the ground, it just puts carbon and like a film all over everything underneath the truck, which it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world either, especially on an old dirt truck. But I don't know, I just don't like looking at the tips. They're just it's kind of a peeve of mine. I'd prefer it be under the truck so you can't see it. But the whole point of this is to achieve that 8 inches minimum length. So, and just don't know what that's gonna look like here. There's a lot of adjustability here. You can see obviously it's a little looser than I wish it was, but I'll be able to tack it up, make sure it's straight, and should be good. So I'll just leave that there for now. I'd say that looks pretty good. Alright, moving on to the passenger side, I just cleaned this guy up. Had a little protrusion here beyond the V-band clamp, which would cause a leak, so I knocked it down and dressed up the corners. So, got my V-band. It's basically just going to repeat what I did over on the driver's side. Hopefully. Sometimes you get lucky and reusing exhaust tube. Sometimes you don't. And so that's what I'm going to determine here. I can use this. The other one went great, so we've got a slight, little bit more than. I need to shim this up with something, so let me go grab it. Just perfect. Okay. really all that matters. I'm not really trying to achieve level to the ground. I'm trying to keep it level with the body, because the truck's not going to be level very much. It's really what you see is what I'm after, and the plane of the muffler according to the body line. That's most important to me. And of course, closest to level, perpendicular to the body line is important. So when you're looking at it from the back, it doesn't look all funky and weird. Definitely have to drill some new holes, but that's all right. Yeah, these are gonna fit really good. So that, let's see that. This isn't the one to look at. It's this guy. See, there you go. So now I need to take my measurement for my extension. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Now, don't mind that dent. I'm gonna get rid of that little bump right there, dent. Thought about flaring this out. Be kind of cool. I have a thing about bell tips. It's just kind of brings me back to high school a little bit. I had a buddy that had a Ranger that they got exhaust shop. It was a bit of a pre-runner Ranger back in high school, and we were always so stoked on the exhaust shop taking the time to flare the end of the tube or the end of the pipe, and it just looks so cool. We always kind of thought it did something, but it doesn't. It's just for fun, just for looks. But so you can kind of see the other one over there. They obviously need some leveling and stuff when I go to tack them, which I will. But I got to clean this paint off here and here, and then here, of course, and I'll probably get that crusty, I don't know what happened with that. Must have been running lean or something doing that. But this paint is truly amazing. It's actually made, and I'm not sponsored by them, but it's actually made by Cool It, Thermotech, and they make the sound deadener stuff for inside your car. But this is their exhaust paint. And I kid you not, these headers have had 2 coats of that stuff, and they've never flaked, even after like hero pulls on the dyno. And so everything else I've just not had good luck with, but that Thermotech Cool It paint is really a good product. So give it a shot if you see it. I had to order it from Summit, but it's the best stuff I've ever seen. Usually this stuff just burns right off, but that stuff's pretty darn good. Next best thing to Cerakote, of course, but that's not this truck. I'm not going to do that. So, all right, let me go prep this stuff, and we'll get to tacking. How it's going to look. So this is sagging down just a little bit right there, but I will straighten it as I tack. But you can see from the back it matches the body line. So see how it's that guy just a little left in the bubble, or in between the lines there. And the same thing. Oh. Just a little left. So that's exactly the same plane as the cab, and that's really, again, that's all that matters, because you're going to look at this from the side And as long as the body lines and the muffler plane is the same, in my eyes, that's acceptable. So cool, I'm excited. And I have to match the other side, so as I go, I'll measure and make sure that they're both capable of being the same length, so they look uniform and then they're lined up. Appears is the front of the muffler is just behind this bolt, this crossmember bolt right here on the other side. So if you can see it there, it's just behind about an inch, and this guy is about the same too. So I think we're roughly in the same neighborhood, and no weirdness. Just make sure there's no weirdness going on here. With make sure the inlet. Trust me, check it. You will get turned around at some point. Yeah, looks pretty good to me. So yeah, and I don't TIG weld this stuff. I don't see a point in that. It takes too long, and frankly, it's the same outcome. So if this was stainless, it'd be a different story, but I don't want to do all the back purging and all that. That's just, I feel it's unnecessary. But I guess someday, I mean, I'd like to build another better set of headers. These are my first headers I've ever built, and I'm proud of them, but there's always room for improvement. All right, so I painted these guys yesterday. This is my big mufflers for the street. That's the other side. And the off-road set, which I'm going to put on today now that the paint's cured. But boy, this paint is so good. I know I've raved about it, but it really wears like iron. It's truly amazing, especially on header primaries and stuff. It really stays together very well, which, as far as header paint goes, man, there's just not very many options out there. So highly recommend that Thermotech stuff. But yeah, let's get these on the truck and do a sound off.